Good morning from Gqeberha, the friendly city, also called Port Elizabeth. I think the gist of the Indaba this morning is to make sure that the internet, which is used to get information, which is used for research among young people, is also a safe space where young people can interact, have fun, but also in a responsible way. Joining me this morning is the Deputy Minister for Communications and Digital Technologies, Mr. Mapulane. Mr. Fili, let's first talk about the importance of Indaba. We live in a digital age where young people are on the internet and you can't run away from that. But what you want to make sure is that the internet is a safe space for young people.
Yes, indeed. We are living in a digital age where the internet is playing a much bigger role than it used to be. Maybe let me just tell you about today. Today it's a Safer Internet Day, which is celebrated in over 150 countries. We are here hosted by the Films and Publication Board as a content regulator, which is responsible for the regulating what's happening on the internet. Now, this day, it was started some years back in the early 2000s in Europe to make sure that the internet is safe and to raise awareness around the safety on the internet. It's celebrated on the second day of a second month in February. So we are here really to raise awareness. We've invited young people from the schools to come and raise awareness with them around internet safety.
Deputy Minister, so someone who's sitting at home who has a young person, a child or a brother who's a teenager, and you're speaking about safety in the internet, what kind of tools are you going to be giving young people to ensure that in their own private company they are still safe in the internet space?
Yes, so in March of this year, the President, through the Gazette, operationalized the Amendment Act to the Films and Publication Act, which gives more powers now to the entity, which is the Films and Publication Board, to be able to fully become a content regulator, meaning that one of the important roles that it has to play is to protect the children. There are a lot of things that are happening on the internet, so their role is to make sure that there is that protection of the children on the internet. And so they do that by raising awareness. They do that by applying the instruments they have in terms of the law. And so this event is one of those events that is used to raise awareness around. Over the past 5 years, the United Nations estimates that there's been over 1 billion people that have been added to the internet. So meaning internet is a popular way, as we are now in the era of the fourth industrial revolution. So the internet is a primary medium of getting information, of getting news, of doing a lot of things. Now you no longer have to go to the computer to get to the internet. You can use your mobile, your gadget, your cell phone. So the internet now is expanding. But of course, one of the things that we also want to highlight is that as much as there's been 1 billion people who have been added over to the internet, there are still many of our people who are not able to access the internet. The United Nations again estimate that it's about 3.7 billion people, most of which live in the developing countries, who don't have access to the internet. So as we celebrate the fact that we are now living in this digital era, we must also understand that most of our people also don't have access to the internet. 3.7 billion, 96% of whom lived in the developing countries, don't have access to the internet. So connectivity is also an issue for which we ourselves as government, we have developed a program called SK Connect, which is a broadband policy, wherein we seek to roll out broadband connectivity to the entire country, so that in the next 3 years, at least we've got about 80% of our population having access to the internet.
One issue, Deputy Minister, that's been a real problem within the internet space has been the issue of child pornography, where parents are saying, or sometimes even parents are engaging their children in pornography, or kids are tapping into that space. What educational tools are you also planning to embark on to also empower parents on how they can control what the kids see within the internet space?
Well, this event is one of which, but there is a series of other educational awareness programs engaged by the Films and Publication Board to make sure that we educate the parents, we make sure that the parents take an active interest in what children are doing on the internet. Don't have to buy a gadget gift to the child and you take less interest in what the child is doing. So parents must also continue to monitor what the children are doing. It doesn't have to be the responsibility of government to always make sure that that is done, but also the parents should be able to do that, to monitor what's the sites that the children are visiting and so forth.
Thank you so much. Well, that was the Deputy Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, Mr. Phil Mapulane, just speaking about the importance of this day, saying that it can't only be the role of the department to ensure that kids are safe in internet space, that parents have to play an active role in ensuring they monitor what their children are exposed to within the space. For now, let's go back to the studio.